Hello, welcome to this review of the Neopastel Oil Pastels, the set of 48. I was really excited to be trying these. Well, I think I'm just not gonna be saying too much in here in this intro. I'll just let you watch my first impression and my review and like the artwork I made while trying these out, and then afterwards I'll be back and I'll give you my final opinion on these. So enjoy watching. So we're starting off with the box, which I already undid off its plastic wrap because I had opened them before in another video in which I unpacked my art supplies. And I already wanted to have a look there. As we open up the box, we have this little flyer thing, booklets, in which we can see, well, which sets they have. So yeah, this is the 48 one. They have 69 colors in total. I think this set is absolutely amazing when it comes to the colors, although I have to say the lilac is not my favorite, but I won't go into that in this video. I just think the range of colors here is really stunning. They are super bright, which I love, very vibrant. But of course, then there's the question, will they also look like that on paper? I'm using a paper from Paul Rubens, their oil pastel paper, which is a pretty good one actually. And here I'm just swatching them first of all. It's always very satisfying to see how they look and when they're all brand new and you get to touch them for the first time. I was very pleased with the color payoff, and they were not patchy at all. I think there's just the light green, I believe, kind of like the grass green, that was a little patchy, but overall I really love the colors here. They also are quite a little bit harder, which I wasn't sure how I was gonna like the hardness of these, because what I love about oil pastels is that they are buttery, and these aren't necessarily as buttery, but I guess that does make them very nice to combine with other pastels, like the gallery one, which is a little softer, or the ones from Sennelier. And I'm starting to see that it's actually usually pretty nice to have a little bit of a harder pastel, because sometimes when you're working and you're smudging everything that you put on, at first that's also not as amazing. And so I'm starting off here by just sketching out a rough outline. This is how I usually work. Sometimes I like to plan things a little bit more in my sketchbook, but this was just some sort of freehand drawing and just going with what I thought would look nice. I always like to test pastels out by just, making an artwork. Swatching is one thing, but once you start using them in the way that you like to use them, you really get to see what they're actually like. Usually before I start drawing, I like to select a color palette, which is what I'm doing right here. And that really helps with sort of more consistent, I guess, colors, color placement, color blending. I mean, I could use anything, obviously, and it doesn't necessarily mean I have to keep myself to this palette, but it's nice to have something to hold on to, I guess. I'm erasing the lines I put down first because I don't want them to be super noticeable, and just have them like faintly in the background. I don't always do this, but for this I just decided I might as well. So I'm instantly noticing here that they work really well together. When you put them down, they feel kind of hard, and that makes them really nice for actually drying. And when you work them into one another, they are not super blendable, but they blend well enough, I think, and that like to create like a nice effect. It's not like, for example, Sennelier or Gallery, but they, you know, you kind of still see the initial color you put down, and they don't blend super smoothly into one another, but I kind of like the look of it. It didn't bother me. And you have to keep in mind that I am not using any tools here to blend, which later on I will be using my finger, and then you definitely get a smoother blend. I also noticed that some colors do blend nicer than others. So although I would say this set is pretty consistent with how all the pastels feel, there is still some difference in a few colors. Like some are just a little bit more opaque than the other. However, it's not like, for example, the Paul Rubens palette, which was super inconsistent. This one is definitely more consistent, but I guess that different pigments will always have some pigments are just not super opaque, and they are very hard to make opaque, so I get why they behave like that. I have to say, this set, like the colors of this set are so vibrant. It's really stunning. I think this might just, I don't know, I think this, like the colors in this set are possibly my favorite out of all the sets I've tried so far. What I mean by that is like the consistency of the colors here I really love. They all feel very vibrant. And for example, Gallery Mungyo also has very beautiful colors, but I feel like they're just slightly more muted. And with Sennelier, I guess I have not really tried those enough to really have a good opinion on them, but I really, really enjoyed the colors in this palette. They are very, very stunningly bright. So as you could see, I am sort of like blending things with my finger as well. That I thought created a really nice effect. Like since they're not super buttery, you do notice that they are a little bit harder to blend. And at first I was kind of afraid that I would hate that I wouldn't like it. But to be fair, I have kind of grown into it, I think. I am actually really enjoying that they are a little bit harder. And well, in this artwork, I'm only using the Neopastels, but what I would usually do, and what I've been doing over the past couple of weeks, is use them together with my other pastels, and mainly using these Neopastels as like sort of like the base, and really to add more details to the painting, because their hardness really allows for that kind of usage. This, like, the pastels really work nicely as like a base, and on top of that you can put like softer ones or not. You can also just use everything together. It doesn't really matter. You have to do what feels right. I guess what's nice about the hardness of these pastels is that in my case, they really forced me to work with the strokes a little bit more instead of blending everything into one smooth whole blend and just layer a bit more and see how that's gonna look. And that was a really nice surprise actually. I had really enjoyed myself. In this last shot, I wanted to show you the close up, and you can see there's a little bit of flaking going on. Now, I didn't think that was unworkable. It was pretty alright actually. I didn't mind at all. So my final opinion on this set, on the Neopastels, is that they are really, really great. I don't regret buying these at all. I think they are, like, the colors are so very, very vibrant. They are very pigmented, and I think they look absolutely stunning. I think color-wise, these are my favorites. However, I do have one thing that is not necessarily a downside, but something to consider when getting these, is that they are very hard. Like, they are the hardest oil pastels that I own. That makes them not quite as easy to blend. For example, they're not super buttery in comparison to, for example, Sennelier is very buttery, but you also have Gallery Mungio. And the Gallery ones, I think, are also, they're just a bit softer and makes them nicer to blend. However, because the fact that they're hard makes drawing with them and adding details easier, but at the same time they also work great as, like, using them as like a first layer, because they don't really smudge that much. They actually they're not super buttery, so they don't really blend that well, and that makes them really nice for like a first layer, for example. And then on top of these, you could, for example, add more softer pastels. That's the only thing I think that I don't necessarily dislike that, but it is something to just kind of, that you kind of have to know about these. So if you're looking for a really hard pastel, this is the one. This is the at least one that I really like, especially because the colors are amazing. But if you're looking maybe for a softer one, then this is not the one you should be buying. So that's actually all I can really say about it. Like, I have really been enjoying using these over the past few weeks, because the review and my first impression I recorded like a few weeks back, and I have been using these like over the past couple of weeks, and I've really been enjoying them. I've been using them in combination with my Gallery and my Sennelier ones. I don't have a whole set of the Sennelier pastels, so I cannot really review them as like a whole, but I think like the Gallery Mungio are still my #1 favorites. After that come these for sure. So yeah, that's all I have to say about it. I hope that this video was helpful for you. Let me know in the comments if you're gonna be trying these, if you have them. Tell me what you think of these, how you use them, or just tell me anything about oil pastels. Tell me about another brand that you love or that I should be trying. I'm honestly up for talking about anything oil pastels, so just leave a comment if you would like that. And don't forget to subscribe, and yeah, I will see you in the next one. Bye! I'm up for talking about anything oil pastel. I'm honestly up talking about anything.